From 24 years old all the way up to 38, I was kind of in a cycle of incarceration, right? I would make some bad decisions, usually attached to drugs and alcohol in some way, and that would result in a chain reaction of events. I would go through the process, I would straighten up for a while, I would swear that things were going to be different, but ultimately in a relatively short period of time, the cycle would repeat again. And this particular time when I came in was June 16th, 2021. And that was my 19th felony of a 3-year cycle. During that time, I was homeless. Things kind of have evolved. You know how the narrative goes, right? Mine had evolved to that desperate point, right? I was homeless. My family had put some space in between us so they didn't continue to enable me, rightfully so. I was a deadbeat dad or an absentee father for 5 years of my son's life. My relationships were all based upon what I could get out of somebody or what they could get out of me. No trust. And essentially, when I got incarcerated at that time, the judge had enough of my shenanigans. Bond wasn't an option. And I had to take a look at life, an honest, hard look at life. And the difficult part there when I started to look at things was that my experience showed me that I was a person that could not be depended on, myself or others. So I had a couple vague things that I knew need to be changed, but I didn't believe in myself to be able to actually follow through to change them. And I didn't know what that looked like. So I was left with the conclusion that the labels of felon and criminal and a broken man were who and what I was. That was what my fate was. COVID happened. I caught COVID. I went into quarantine for 32 days and spent some time with God. And I left that space a different man than walked in. The very first week returning from quarantine, the opportunity to participate in college classes inside the facility were offered. I applied, I got accepted. I remember being a little skeptical at the beginning. I'm incarcerated. They're saying that they're gonna, offer some help. And I'm like, okay, we'll see. And I remember the first week, Radia Baxter was the director of education, and she pulled all the selected people aside and had a conversation with us. And she said, look, you guys are meant for greatness. And I remember thinking to myself, if she truly knew me, she wouldn't say that. But hindsight, we started the program. I think that sociology and in a math class were the first classes. They were actually at a Trident class, right? I remember school being incredibly difficult in the beginning, and first test came, I threw myself into it with everything I had, and I got an A, right? I got a win. I applied myself and I got a win. And something shifted there, and I continued to repeat that process. I continued to apply myself. I continued to find my way through. I continued to find success, and eventually I was able to help other people. My team, this group that had been selected with me, and we continued to move forward together. At some point in time during that journey, one of the guys had an idea that maybe we could do a fundraiser from inside that could possibly raise some money to have an impact in the community. And we pitched it to the sheriff and Radia, and they said, put us together a proposal. And we did. And we came together as a team to present it. And first it was the jail staff and jail attendants, and then it was community stakeholders. There was cabinet members, judges, so on and so forth, and then eventually to the Department of Corrections, and it got accepted. And so during that process, I learned how to work with a team, and then in school I learned to apply myself. Ultimately, I learned to believe in myself, right? And that was the gift, right, that I carried with me when I left the program and when I left incarceration and continued to apply it. And now my life is in a much different place. And, you know, before, my truth is that I was part of the problem. And today, not only have I begun to find my way through, I now have the ability to help other people find their way through and find purpose and meaning in that journey. My son lives with me full time now. I currently run a team of 22 men inside of a company. I finished my degree with a 4.0, and that's what placed me in the position to have that opportunity. I have an officer position and a chair position for Oxford House Sober Community. I have a thriving church family, and I have a bunch of meaningful, real relationships of people that are trudging this path with me. The Sheriff's brand was a little different. It said, hey, you are valuable, and in fact, you're valuable enough that I'm willing to invest in you. And I mean, that's night and day difference than anything else I've ever experienced. And for me, that was the difference that allowed me to believe in myself. You know, impact and effect are just starting to happen. And I guess my fear is that right when we're starting to see the results, that all that work could be lost by somebody else that doesn't have the same vision. You know, I could give you a metaphor. Imagine that you're offshore inside of a ship and there's a storm out. And I ask you, what is the lighthouse light? What difference does that make? It makes a whole lot of difference, right? When you're in a storm in your life and you're broken and you do not know which way shore is, you need direction. You need that light. And for me and many people, that's what programming is the bridge that's built that helps them find their truth and their purpose.